Hey everybody, I'm doing Colbert on Wednesday. I believe that's tax day. But on the bright side, I'll be doing Colbert. You can check me out there. In the meantime, I'm just waiting for the show to start. Any minute now. Everyone will get here.
It's Josh Johnson in 3D!
Ooh, I'm in 3D. Good popcorn.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks. Things have been very bad. This is really bad. This is like, because look, it's usually not good, but this is worse. This is very bad. This is end of the movie bad. Like, this is, usually when it gets this bad, credits start to roll. No, it's bad. But every once in a while, something happens. Even while things are bad, something happens that may not even be related. It's not like a glimmer of hope against something. It's just something completely independent of everything else. Something not even political, but it happens and it like brightens your day. You see it, and I won't say it's like a full distraction, but for a little while, it makes it feel like everything's not on fire, you know? When I saw Christi Noem's husband, I was like, no, when I saw Christi Noem's husband, I can only speak for myself, but I've never told a picture to wait so many times in my life. I saw a picture, I was like, wait. Wait. No one's in the room with me. Wait. What? What? Oh. What in the Mrs. Doubtfire is going on? This is crazy. This is wild. Whoa. Wait. If you don't know Christi Noem. Christi Noem was the Secretary for Homeland Security, and she was she was an interesting pick. She was interesting the way that like a peanut butter pickle sandwich is interesting. Where you see someone with it and you're like, oh, don't do that. That's bound to not turn out well. I'm not even acting like I know what'll happen, but it won't be good. No, she was the Secretary for Homeland Security, and she was very bad at her job. Which is, here's the thing. This is, hopefully I can make myself clear here. This is the struggle with describing what I've been thinking ever since I saw how bad. Okay, she was bad at her job, but her job was to do bad. Like, her job was to do evil, and she was bad at it. That doesn't make her good. It just means like her job's to do more evil, but then she was bad at it. It would be like if a burglar broke into your home but then tripped and hurt their ankle. And so now they're in your house, fully broken in. They broke the window, they're inside, but they're like, No, she's bad at doing the bad thing. She still did plenty of bad. No, it was still pretty evil. But she wasn't as good as the people that want her to do bad wanted the bad to be. It would be like if you worked for the devil, right? And the devil's like, you gotta get out there and do as much evil as possible. And you were like, oh, can I go to the bathroom first? Like, you just... The evil, like, wasn't as much of a priority as it was for you than to just, like, do whatever it was you wanted to do, which is a lot of what she did, apparently. She did a lot of evil. But then some of the stuff she did was, like, not on evil's agenda at all. Like, even the evil was like, so when we gonna get to work? She not about that life. She not about it. She not about... I'm trying to do evil, and she just over here lollygagging. And look, once again, it doesn't make you good to procrastinate doing bad. It just means you're bad at being bad as well. It could be worse if you were good, but you're not, so it's the regular amount of bad it was gonna be. And she was bad at her job. She spent so much money. So much. So it was my money, your money, our money. It was the money that we give them. And she spent so much of that money on ads. She made herself the star of some ads for ICE. Which is wild because we know about ICE. They don't really need commercials. You know what I mean? It's like if somebody spent millions and millions of dollars on ads about wiping. We know. Words got out. Pretty wild stuff, yes. And so she spent all this money. We're talking thousands and thousands of dollars, where some people are even like, what was that part even for? You know, she gave contracts to people with businesses that I think were like 5 days old. That's that old school grifter. That's that. You out here giving government contracts. What do you know? I just started a company. What do you need done? I can't do it, but I'll figure it out for the right price. Spent all this money on ads, then gets brought in front of Congress, and like, she's sitting there in front of Congress. They're asking her, like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And not just what are you doing, because you gotta remember, it's a wide variety of reasons that she got brought in. There are some people that see these ICE detention centers for what they are and what they quickly became. Instead of just detention centers, they're these new wave concentration camps that people are detained in. They don't know when they're going to get out. They're not getting court dates. They're living in inhumane conditions and everything. And then there were people that wanted to bring her in because they were like, how'd you spend $40,000 on miscellaneous? How does that happen? There were some people that were like, you're just not using the funds correctly to do the evil, and I want to ask you about it. And so they bring her up in front of Congress, asking her all these questions. And then they ask her about the money specifically. They're like, this is a lot of money. And you're using it in ways that just don't seem on the up and up. Wasteful at best. And she's like, well, the president told me to, like, I could... And I'll be honest with y'all. That's the first time that somebody has lied on Trump, and I believe Trump. Because... because Trump was like, I didn't know anything about this. Like, what? Trump was over here like, what are you talking about? You're not gonna throw me under the bus. That's my bus. Oh, and so she got fired. She got fired. And so, yeah, she's not at Homeland Security anymore. They basically were trying to cover up how, I guess, mad Trump was and the firing. So instead of calling it a firing, they moved her to a position that didn't exist 5 days ago. And now she's doing that. I think she's like Guardian of the Americas or something. They fired her for being Secretary of Homeland Security and gave her a job that sounds like a lie. If we were at a party and you asked me what I did, I said, I'm Guardian of the Americas. You would be like, he don't have a job. He don't have a job at all. I don't even know if I'm getting the name right, but I'm pretty sure it's Guardian of the Americas. And it was so clearly made up that day because they were too embarrassed to say they just fired her because she messed up or because she lied on the president or because of whatever. So that they made up a whole... If you went on a date with someone, and you go on a date, especially you getting to know each other, just having a good time and everything. Tell me about yourself. What, you have any brothers and sisters? All the basic questions. And then you ask, what do you do? And then they say, I'm the Guardian of the Americas. You would be like, oh, okay, all right. Well, we about to split this check. This is not happening. No. Guardian of the Americas. Guardian of the Americas sounds like the Avenger that died first. Yeah. That's the whole reason we had to have like 4 or 5 movies, because Guardian of the Americas was supposed to show up, but then he broke into the secret lair the secret lair of the villain, and as he was breaking in, the cape got caught in the window and he tripped, and now he's sitting there. Oh. Oh, y'all gonna have to shoot me. Guardian of the Americas is crazy. Oh, man. But it wasn't just Christi and her husband. Pam Bondi got fired. And once again, Pam Bondi was also bad at her job. But her job was to do evil. Like her job was bad. It was to be as bad as possible towards the direction of where the bad people wanted her to point justice. She would point it, and then she would put the people in prison that the bad people said were bad. And she wasn't good at it. Because she would go to court. She would take them to court and then be like, look, I already built a case against these bad people, and the case rock solid. All right, you about to go to jail. You got to go to jail, and I hope you love jail because you're about to get a lot of it. And then they would get to court, and a judge would be like, this doesn't make any sense. Like the thing that the case that you brought before me is so ridiculous. It made me question if I know the law at all. Like, was it a joke when you brought it? Like, is it... thought I was being pranked. I haven't seen a worse case in my life. They kept losing in court. Pam kept trying to prosecute the president's political enemies, and it just was not working because it just wasn't, there wasn't even good stuff. You know, it was like, well, I'm pretty sure there's an issue with, I'm pretty sure that there's an issue with. I don't think Letitia James filled out her paperwork right on her apartment. How about that? Oh, you about to go to jail. Oh, you catch a jail right now, all right? Did you put a 1 when you really meant 7? Ooh, you going down. No, it was very bad cases. You know, like they were over here trying to indict Comey, right? And it's not like I'm a Comey fan. I don't look. I'm just saying what I saw. But they tried to indict Comey, and then apparently they took Comey to court, and they were supposed to present their case. And to my knowledge, the sum of their case was like, it's Comey. I mean, look at him. Doesn't he look like he did it? What are you accusing him of? Being Comey. We know he's doing that. No, it was very bad, and so Trump was obviously getting frustrated with Pam Bondi. And I will say, maybe this is just me, but Pam is one of the funniest names to scream when you're mad. Like it. You know what I mean? Like I can see. You know, you burn dinner, the Pam! Oh, you cooked it to death, Pam! You know what I mean? Like, Pam just sounds like, it's like when you yell that name angry, it just feels like the thing that is being yelled about is sometimes just not serious at all. Like Pam sound like, someone screaming Pam just sounds like, Pam, your potluck roast poisoned everybody at church, Pam. Which is it? Are you gonna cook it to death or are you gonna undercook it? Because chicken's not supposed to be pink, Pam. And you know that Trump was screaming Pam's name. Pam probably made him so mad so many different times. Look, as someone who's been fired plenty, I knew Pam was getting fired. As someone who's been fired in my life, I was just watching Pam's moves and I was like, ooh, days are numbered. I would call out sick today, Pam. No, don't get me wrong. I've been fireable in my life, and I've just, saw a lot of my tactics on screen. Just the way she tried to cover her up, and ooh, it was bad. You know, because she was out here. Early on, there were some people that were like, this, Pam Bondi, this is going to be an effective extension of the president's agenda, you know? Because she even said herself a thing that normally attorney generals don't do, which is that she would be working closely with the president, and she is excited and honored to push forward his agenda. Now, normally, the president and the attorney general act like they've never been in a room together. You know, because they at least have to give the idea. They at least have to put it out there that maybe the attorney general, no matter who the president is being impartial. And Pam didn't do that at all. Pam Snitched on herself immediately. Like, anything he say is what I'm gonna do. It's up for all of y'all. Everybody going to court. Anybody he doesn't like, I don't like. We were all together. Even the way that Pam would compliment Trump, you could tell. You could tell it was just like too much. You know what I mean? Like, Mr. President, thank you first of all for your leadership. I know that we don't get to see each other as much as we like, but I can just feel you leading whenever I walk even. Like, sometimes I'll be walking down the hall and I'll be like, I know he want me to go this way. I know, sometimes someone will say, take a left. I'll be like, I don't even know where that left came from. It came from you and your leadership, Mr. President. The fact that you exude so much leadership, I don't even know what to do next unless you tell me. Mr. President, thank you for that. And thank you also for being one of the greatest presidents ever with great shoulders. I don't care what the media says about you. You have a great posture, Mr. President. And your skin, too. Your skin is glowing, all right? A lot of haters out there going to talk about your skin, but your skin, impeccable. Also, your hair, clearly not a weave at all. I love the fact that you have your flowing locks out for the American public because that's the type of president that you are. And you could see on his face, even Trump would be like, all right, chill. You gotta chill. Oh, wow. People made fun of Trump for falling asleep at press conferences, but if you watch back, a lot of those naps were when Pam Bondi was talking. But then she was on Fox News, a friendly network to the administration. She was on Fox News and they asked her, this wasn't a gotcha. This wasn't hard journalism. They just asked her in general because of everything that had been said in the campaign and now that Trump had won. You're saying that you have a list of Epstein's clients. Are you going to make that list available to the public? And then she's over here. It's on my desk right now, waiting to be reviewed. It's what the president wants. We want to be the most transparent administration in the history of the presidency. And then, just because I know Trump and I know he likes to watch TV, I know he was watching Fox News, and I'm sure he was sitting there going, Pam! Oh. Pam Bondi had even gathered up a bunch of right-wing influencers. These are just people in like new media. We're talking online, not like legacy stuff. And I don't even know if legacy media was invited to this thing. She said that she was going to be sharing the Epstein files with them exclusively. So they got their followers hyped up. Everybody was like at the edge of their seat. They showed up. I'm pretty sure they were at the White House and they're all dressed up and everything. And they're like, this is what we called it. This is what we voted for. Most transparent presidency in the history of the presidency. And then she passed out folders too. It said Epstein file phase 1. There's going to be sequels. Passed them all out. And then these people quickly realized that everything they were given was stuff that was already available online, like things that were already out. They were given no new information. This is a waste of their time. It was a ruse. It was like, it didn't even seem like a worthwhile plan. Why would you give the most chronically online people a bunch of stuff that was already online like it was gonna fool them? I'm sure Trump was sitting there like, Pam! Why would you? Because this wasn't even good. Like, they quickly realized even some of the things that were redacted were only redacted for show, because online you'd see the full page, no problem. And so then these people got mad. They got mad at Pam, obviously, but then they also got mad at the president. They were like, what is this? Because this person works for you. They already said they do everything that you say, so this must be coming from you. I'm sure Trump was furious, especially because of how bad of a job they did at releasing these these folders to people. You got whole pages on there at the top say twitter.com. Like you just went ahead and printed the internet and handed it out like nobody was gonna notice. Oh, it was bad. And then this Epstein thing did not go away. It got bigger, more stuff came out, more stuff leaked. You know, Democrats were subpoenaing Epstein's estate, so then they were releasing things consistently, like little drips of new things, keeping the pressure up. It got to the point where Epstein wasn't a partisan issue anymore. Even Republican Congress people were like, well, we need to get to the bottom of this. I got calls about it all day. I got people claiming I'm not doing enough and everything. And so then they were like, we got to pass a law. We have to pass at least one. It's been a decade. Let's pass at least one law. We gotta try. I think we remember how. And they voted on it. And even optically speaking, because of what it is, because of what it's meant to do, this law that's supposed to release the Epstein files to the public so that we know what's going on, anyone who stands in the way of it looks like they're hiding something or looks like they're working for somebody who has something to hide. And so even Trump, when it gets across his desk, he knows he has to sign it. It'll look so bad if he doesn't sign it. So Mike Johnson and Pam Bondi completely let this man down. He signs it and they start releasing it. And I'm pretty sure that as a government, we don't understand what redacting is anymore because they redacted stuff that didn't make any sense. They would redact pictures, so you would try to print something out and it would just be one black page and people were like, what is that? That doesn't make any sense at all. They actually let survivors' names leak and then redacted the names of people who were supposed perpetrators. And then on top of all of that, you got them trying to redact after the fact. They released things that you could read the whole page. They realized that they didn't mean to release that, and so then they tried to redact it the next day, but that's not how redacting works. I'm pretty sure when they were going over the files, they thought that they could redact them by just putting some black paint on the screen. Okay, it's good to print. Go ahead. So then Pam Bondi gets brought in front of Congress to testify so that they can be like, what is going on? What are you doing here? They bring in front of there, and once again, when she's under oath, has to answer these questions. They ask her flat out, did you redact President Trump's name in order to shield him from relationships he might have with people who are in the Epstein files, or shield him from events that take place in the Epstein files that could incriminate him? And Pam, being a lawyer, knowing she's under oath, doesn't clearly want to answer because she goes, y'all even, yeah. The Dow is up 50,000 points. Why isn't anybody talking about that? Like, y'all some haters. Y'all really are. Like, y'all hate when the Dow is up. Y'all want to bring up anything else but the Dow, you know? I wake up, I think about the Dow immediately. I wake up and I check it. Y'all over here, Epstein. The Dow. And because this is like a high stakes testify before Congress, I'm sure Trump was sitting there like, Pam! Say no. Go to jail. I'll pardon you. Go to jail. What are you doing, Pam? You out of your mind? No. This is rough out here. This This is bad. This is very bad. He's not having a good time. And so Pam Bondi gets fired, you know, which once again, as someone who's been fired, I saw it coming. I remember getting the notification. Here's how hard I knew Pam was gonna get fired. I saw the notification, and there's a thing amongst my friends and I where whenever we get fired, and we've all been telling each other stories that feel fireable, whenever we get the news that the person got fired, we call and we're like, whoo! They fired you today. That took longer than I expected. And I knew Pam Bondi was gonna get fired so hard that when I saw a notification, I went in my contacts and I don't have Pam Bondi's number. Why would I? I guess and then it feels in the midst of all this stuff happening that everyone is closing in on him about the Epstein files, and all the questions are getting more and more direct. They're also becoming more and more clear, because you got to remember, if you rewind like 2 years ago, there were so many things that we didn't know, and there was so much like mystery around the files that someone might even be onto something. And it's impossible to know who's right or wrong about any of it. And so as everything just felt like it was really closing in, and the public at large had a better understanding of not just the way the world is working now, but also the way it was working back then when all these things are happening. You know, if you're Trump, what do you do? What do you do? You clearly go to war. You know, here's the thing. I am not gonna sit here and act like I know why we're at war, because Congress doesn't know why we're at war. But I have some hunches. I'm sure it has to do with all the reasons people ever go to war, you know, like power and riches and everything. But I do think that there's a world where, even if incidental, this war is a distraction from the Epstein files. Because it's hard to be at war and pay attention to a lot of other stuff at the same time. I've never been to war myself. I know you can tell. I have never been to war, but I imagine, from what I have imagined, what I've been told from people who I know who have served, that when you are at war, there are certain things on your mind and certain things that couldn't be further from your mind, you know? And so I think that the war starts, and people don't know at first if we could even call it that, because you do need Congress' permission to go to war. So at first they're like, operations. No, we're just doing combat. It's not war. We're just doing combat over there. Why y'all keep calling everything a war just because we blow stuff up? Like, y'all dramatic. Like, everything that blows up isn't a war. Do y'all think firecrackers are a war? Do you think you're at war July 4th? No, come on now. Just because we have targets and we talk about hitting our targets and completing objectives and having a mission doesn't mean it's a war. So you see all these people coming out, and this is, you know, Trump's favorite pastime is making people that take up for him look dumb. Because then, after every congressperson possible says it's not a war and comes up with all of these creative words, Trump is like, we win in this war. And bruh, what are you doing? I spent 15 minutes on CNN coming up with other words that are clearly the synonyms for war, but just aren't the word war. And then you just kick the rug from under. Okay. And then it's very unclear through even the president's messaging where we're at with the war. Because we are fighting a war and we're winning. We're winning, and we would like some help if we can get, if anybody is willing to help, that would be great. But like, no, look, if you want to help, you can. We'll accept the help, but like, we don't need you. Ain't nobody need you. Honestly, I'm like offended you would even think that we need you stepping up right now because we winning this war, all right? We won already. And if you would like to come over and help us win some more, then we... But if you don't, that's fine, because we already won. It's over anyway. It's been over. It's been over unless you feel like helping. It's been over. All right? We were winning, and then we were winning, and then we won. We won. We won. And that's why we got to keep fighting, because... when something's already over, that's when you start it all over again to continue. No, the whole thing was insane. Nobody knew what to say. And nobody knew what he was saying when he was saying it. The whole time he's just sitting there like, okay, I guess I've deduced from all of the walking like a war, talking like a war, quacking like a war, that it's a war. That we are at war, and that we don't seem to be doing as well as he would like us to believe. And I know that because I've known a divorced man before. Oh, I don't know if you ever met a divorced man, but they've gone through all of these Iran war stages in real time in front of you. How you doing? I'm good. No, I'm good. I'm great. I actually could be greater. I'm worried. I'm worried because if I was any better, you wouldn't be able to handle me, all right? All right, nobody can touch me. I'm feeling myself right now. You know what I mean? I'm back on my feet and everything. I got my freedom, you know, because you're free. As a man, your freedom is the most important thing. Don't ever let somebody take your freedom away from you. So I'm free. I'm free. I'm completely free, all right? I'm done with her and I'm free. So if you want to hang out or anything, like, I'm free. Like, if you... But I'm good. I'm great. You know, like, got out of the house because, you know, it was too stuffy in there. Her energy bringing me down and stuff. I didn't want to have to deal with any of that. You know, she was always like, you know, like a spoil sport and everything. I'm just out here trying to have fun, be myself, live my life and everything. So I'm out of the house. I don't have to deal with her and her rules about the house anymore. You know, oh, you can't put your poster here. Oh, we can't have pizza for dinner. Oh, you know what I mean? Like, I'm out of that house and it doesn't matter. I do what I want. So if you have like a couch I can crash on or anything like that. No, but I'm, you know what I mean? I'm out here winning. I'm out here winning. I mean, I don't even know what she up to. Yeah, because I don't even think about her like that. I don't even think about her. I know you've been a good friend. You've been a good friend because I know you met us as a couple and you stayed friends with both of us and everything, but I appreciate you not, you know, like backtracking out of my life just because we're not together anymore. That's a real friend. Like, you can separate the relationship from the friendship that we have. I appreciate that because I don't even know. You know, I got so much freedom now, and you know what I mean? Like, you know, trying to get on my feet, find a place to stay and stuff. But and honestly, that's taking up most of my time. Like, I don't even think about her. I don't even think about her like that. Like, she's not on my mind at all, by the way. But does she mention me, though? Like, does she mention me at all when you talk to her? Like, I'm not asking you to betray her trust. I'm just saying, like, is she over here crying or anything or, like, upset? I'll come back. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, no, I'll come back because, you know, we bought a king-size bed, you know? So it's just, that's, you can roll over. It's hard to roll over on a couch. You know what I mean? You roll over, you off. And so... Oh, we're in a bad spot. And there's a thing that I think is really important to pay attention to because I do believe it's going to keep happening. I am not claiming to know what's going to happen next. I don't have any special powers or anything. I just recognize some patterns, and I think that it's an interesting pattern that I've seen in other places that I'm seeing unfold right now, which is you start this administration and you have all of these women in positions of power. You know, you have Christi Noem, Secretary of Homeland Security. You have Pam Bondi, Attorney General. You got Tulsi Gabbard in there. You've got, Caroline Leavitt. You've got all these women around you. And it does feel like whenever the world at large, needs a name, when they need a body, you drop one of them. It's like mind-blowing. It's like you can read it. You can see it happening. Like, okay, as soon as something happens with the CIA, as soon as there's a blunder that you need someone to blame it on, Tulsi's going to be gone. As soon as there's bad enough press where even your allies have turned on you or you've done something that is so indefensible that Caroline can try, but she'll be gone too. I mean, and I don't claim to know who's going to be next or anything, but I do think that if they are people who recognize patterns, you might want to ask yourself the question of, is it really worth it to be tied to this administration, to be tied to this person? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And once again, I don't know who's going to go next. I do think it's going to be Kash Patel. I do think it's going to be Kash. Okay, if you don't know who Kash Patel is, Kash Patel is director of the FBI. Don't feel bad if you don't know who Kash Patel is. I know a lot of people don't keep up with who the director of the FBI is. And don't worry if you haven't seen Kash Patel, because he's seen you. I need a second. My eyes burn so bad. I do not know how Kash Patel does that all day. Oh. Nah, Kash Patel, I'm pretty sure can see in the future. I've never seen. Ooh-wee. Yeah. Kash Patel look at you like. I feel like any conversation I ever had with Kash Patel, I would just be like, are they behind me? Like, why are you... No, but Kash Patel's the director of the FBI and also not good at his job at all. This is very bad. He's very bad at his job. I don't know fully what his job is, but I know as much as Kash Patel knows about what his job is. I feel like as director of the FBI, when he even does go into the office, he's just like, go over there. You stand there. That's directing, right? Oh, Kash Patel, keep using that plane. Keep using that private plane. Non-stop. Burn it up. That's your money. No, that's if you ever see it in the air, you'd be like, oh, this is my money. No, he's using your money as jet fuel to take the jet to places he doesn't need to be. It's crazy. He doesn't even lie. This dude doesn't even lie about it. This is how I know he's not smart. There are crimes in every state in the U.S. every day. Not like rampant crime that we've never seen before. I'm just saying, like, something ends up happening everywhere, every state, every day. Just pretend you're going to investigate one of those. People do that all the time. You've never run an errand at work and then got back to the office and then were holding the Starbucks, realizing you didn't think of a cover story. Traffic was crazy. No, this dude, they'll ask him point blank, like, why did you take the private jet? He's like, oh, yeah, my girlfriend had a recital. What? Oh. This dude took the jet to the Olympics. Pretty sure he took the jet to the Olympics. And I don't know what he was investigating. Went to the Olympics to hang out with the U.S. men's hockey team. Imagine you're the U.S. men's hockey team. You just won the Olympic gold in hockey in incredible fashion. Like, they will make a movie about this one day. Clutch goal, blocked a clutch goal. You over here feeling yourself. You're in the locker room. We did it, we did it, we did it. Excited. And then you get a knock on the locker room door. Somebody come up and like, hey, yeah, so the FBI director is here. They probably would have turned on each other so fast. They're like, Ryan, what did you do? No, the FBI director, he says he wants to hang out. What do? You know, just not even at home, and now the FBI director wants to chill. Like, yeah, we did it, guys, we did it. Okay. No, it's just not serious at all. This is the FBI that we're talking. The FBI. That used to mean something. Do you know what I mean? The FBI. What a fall from... It's the FBI. And now they got a director can't even function. We don't know what he's working on. And I'm not saying the FBI director always makes it known what they're working on, but like with this FBI director, you can tell. You can tell he's not working on anything. Every time people talk to him, he look caught. Every time. They'll be like, where are you on the investigation? He'll be like... I can't do it that long again. God. Man, how does he do that? That Kash Patel need like a Visine sponsorship. That's yeah, my eyes are hot right now. Oh. Oh, Kash Patel over here got hacked. He got hacked by what seemed to be Iranian hackers. They broke into basically his private stuff. His like not his government profiles and everything. This is just his like even before he was ever FBI director. And it's like his emails and some of his profiles online and everything got hacked. Do you know how embarrassing that is? He's the FBI director. It would be like if you were police chief and you went to do a press conference and you looking around like, y'all, who took my gun? Who took my... You're the FBI director. He got hacked. They broke into his private, accounts, and they were putting all his business online and everything. And it's crazy to watch. This is the FBI director, and it is wild to find out that he takes the same security precautions online that I do. Like I was literally finding out in real time. I'm like, oh, you're not supposed to do that? You're not supposed to... Wait, you're not supposed to have the same password for everything. That's bad? I thought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 exclamation point was a good password. No. They hacked this man. They got his profiles and stuff. Released all that stuff. They even found his user profile to an adult website. I know. And a profile that he started on January 6th. Not that January 6th. It was a totally different year. I had the same thing. Initially, I was like, huh? Oh. No. Iranian hackers are the reason we know that man's profile on a bunch of things is Spider Cash. Some of these details, I'm not gonna lie, almost made me feel bad for the Iranian hackers. Imagine you out here trying to hack the FBI director as a country that this country is at war with. These are high stakes. This is high profile stuff. You know, you hacking your little heart out. You hacking as much as possible. If this was the movie, you'd be over here. I don't actually know how to hack. I just know in the movie they always start typing harder to hack harder. And then you in the middle of hacking the FBI director for the United States. And the middle hack, you see some stuff, they go, ugh! Like, ugh, he a freak. I'm trying to have lunch. No. It's the FBI. This is embarrassing. Not saying the FBI was doing like a whole ton of good before Kash got there, but like, I don't know. You would think it's a pretty powerful institution. And now the director is somebody that we don't really trust to do anything. That's rough. I can't get over it. The FBI. want to fall. Used to be so powerful. Used to be so influential. You know what I mean? Like spoke like these spooky feds. Used to wonder. Used to have conversations, and you're like, "Are you a fed?" You know what I mean? It would be high-profile stuff. There'd be like gun running. There'd be drug deals and stuff. Are you a fed? How do I know you're not with the feds? I'm sure now criminals are like, I know you're not a fed. I don't even know if they have funding anymore. I'm pretty sure all the feds have to push the jet to get it started. So then, you got Kash Patel out here somehow, still employed. And you have the idea, at least, that this war is, in part, a distraction from the Epstein files. But then, it's going so poorly. Out of nowhere, Melania holds a press conference. Melania holds a press conference where she comes out and she talks about how she, like, doesn't even really know Epstein like that. Melania, who I want to be clear, nobody was talking to. Melania walks out. This is like official. This is like a full press conference. We're not talking about like front-facing camera TikTok. This woman goes out and is like, hey, just so y'all, like, I heard what y'all been saying, and I didn't roll with Epstein like that. I didn't know him like that. You know, we went to some of the same events that were at his house. Like, I don't know if she was at his house. It was a weird description. And then she's like, you know, there's out here, you know, people try to discredit me and my character off this Epstein stuff. And I'm like, once again, nobody was talking to you. Like, what? When I was in middle school, as a kid that was a little bit more self-conscious than the rest of us. We're all teenage, and we're all, like, you know, a little insecure about our bodies, except for the ones who are already on the football team, who already bench press and stuff. Like, the rest of us are like I was lanky. I wanted to dress out as fast as possible, and I hated the fact that we had to wear shorts. You know, people could see my knees, and my knee to shin ratio was upsetting. It was. No, it looked, I don't know, yeah, it looked. I looked like, you know how they make the action figure with that, like, bolt for the knee? It looked like that. And when I would stand, I was self-conscious about that too, because for a long time, I'd be in junior high, and I didn't even notice this until people started pointing it out, where I stood weird. Like, I've always stood with my feet slightly out, you know? But I was over here with my feet. Every day I'd be like this. It was crazy. And it just called more attention to it that my foot was almost backwards when I had to wear shorts. And there was one kid came in the locker room one day. We had been dressing out for like 2 weeks now, because this is early in junior high. We're 7th grade. A bunch of us came from different, elementary schools where you had recess, but you didn't have like PE in this way. And so he had to dress out too, and he walked in the locker room ready to make an announcement. He had that announcement energy too. Just the way he walked in was a little like he was a coach, Walked in and got loud immediately, caught everybody's attention because we were all talking, but he was like, all right. I know what everybody been saying about my feet. All right, I heard it. Just want y'all to know I heard it, and let's just, from now on, let it lie. They're my feet. I don't want to talk about it. And I don't know about anybody else in the locker room, but I turned to 2 other people. I was like, what is he talking about with his feet? Like, what's it? No, and we were all looking around like we could tell other people were confused. And so he made his announcement, and people kind of quietly went back to talking amongst themselves. But he had just walked in. He now needs to dress out for PE. So he got to take his shoes off. And I guess he wore different socks for PE because this kid took his shoes off, took his socks off. We're all watching. We're trying to act like we're not watching, like we're trying to talk amongst ourselves. And this kid took shoes off, took his socks off, was going to put some other socks on, and he had like very webbed feet. He had webbed, like it. A part of me understood why he made the announcement, because these were the feet of a duck, right? And I'm not one to mention anybody else's appearance because I'm over here with knees that look like fists. Yeah, I had the knees that were just, and then you go down to leg over here, like that wide, and then the knee is this wide. Didn't feel like it made sense. And so I thought about that for a long time. I thought about wow, I wasn't thinking about his feet at all. And then he made that announcement, and then I saw him, and I was like, oh, okay. All right, those are unique feet. But I wouldn't have known if you hadn't said anything. Even if you had taken off your shoe, taken off your sock, and I saw your foot, I probably wouldn't have even clocked right away what the foot looked like. I don't think I would have remembered it. But now, 20 years later, I'm still like, that was a wild foot to have. Haven't seen anything like it since. That is. Okay. And when Melania started talking, I was like, this is a very webbed feet story. I'm going to be thinking about this for years. Imagine. I understand trying to get ahead of something, but you never want to be so far ahead. Imagine if Paul Revere was like a day early. It's just like... Do you know what I mean? Paul Revere got ahead of it at exactly the right time. The British are coming. I saw the light. They'll be here soon. Go ahead, get your rifle, get your gunpowder. This is serious. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to tell them that the British are coming. If Paul had rocked up the morning before the morning and been like, yo, the British, they coming. They're on their way. People have been like, huh, what? Oh, okay. Wait, how far? How much time do we have? At least a day. You got it at least. I came as quick as I could, but yeah. Make sure to not go to bed or be rested or anything. Just freak out till they get here. No, there's getting ahead of it, and then there's creating it. Because now Melania come out, and even the news. Look, I watch a lot of different news. I do my best to watch as many news sources as I can that feel like at least some sort of like viable information that can be cross-referenced against another news source. I don't just rely on one, but I do engage with all of them, whether it's the legacy media or it's online, you know. And when I watched Melania's address, when she got done, just the news I was watching at that moment, I can't speak for anybody else. The news that I was watching when she got done, they went from her, she walked away from the lectern, and then they went back to regular news, and the news was like, I don't know what she's talking about. It was the first time in a long time that I noticed it looked like the news felt bad. They were like, did I miss something? Because that's unprofessional of us if something happened and we were talking about and we didn't know. But like, we just went because they said they were doing the press conference, and now I guess we can guess what she might mean. Because like, even the address had a little too much mystery to it. You know, like apparently there's an email from Melania to Ghislaine Maxwell, but I found out about the email from the address, which made the email say, I don't know the contents of the email fully. And there's probably other emails we don't even know about. So maybe that's why we're getting ahead, because now there are other emails, or it makes people try to sniff out emails that weren't there before, people didn't know existed. But if you come out and you're addressing the nation, and you're like, look, people email, all right? That's not weird. Just know that, like, I emailed a few times, but, like, that was just say, hey. I only emailed because I didn't have their number, all right? Now you're making me ask questions I wasn't asking beforehand. And then there was even a part of me, genuinely, there was a part of me that thought that maybe the war in Iran is going so poorly that Trump was like, Melania, you gotta get out there. You gotta. You have got to do me a solid here. Imagine using your distraction to distract from the thing you were initially trying to distract from. It's almost like if somebody was bad at their job that was evil. And being bad at doing bad doesn't make you good. It just makes you bad at being bad. But isn't it better when people are bad at being bad than if they were good at being bad? Or maybe it's all a disaster. Maybe it's all... Now, Trump was over here going through it. He was actually going through it in a way where people who were normally, especially leading up to the election, sort of Trump allies, especially online, some of these people who have either supported the president for the long haul, the beginning of his run, all the way until people that he sort of won over, they've had their differences, but they mostly support him. Those people started coming out against him specifically about this war. You know, we're out here talking about drafting kids for a war that we don't even understand, where there's no imminent threat. You know, and so people start coming out. Tucker Carlson comes out against the president because the president, he posted to his, it's kind of his Twitter. He had this Easter post. Oh, so you saw it, okay. He had this post where he talked about truly doing a war crime. And at one point, not only is he cursing, but at one point he's like, praise be to Allah. And I was like, there's gotta be AI, right? Like, and then everyone was like, no, it's real. I was like, that also checks out, honestly. That also makes a ton of sense if it's... But, Tucker Carlson came out against him and was slamming him hard in ways that made sense. And he did in that Tucker Carlson way. He did in that way that we're used to from him. He had his hair ready. No, he had that hair ready to dance. He's like... You're gonna mock? You're gonna mock their religion on Easter? On Easter? You don't mock religions. That's not your job. That's not your... You're the president. I would expect more from you. And then... And like Megyn Kelly came out against him. Megyn Kelly a weird one though, because Megyn Kelly was like, can we just stop? I'm so sick of him. Can we just stop? You don't bomb civilians. You don't kill an entire civilization or even threaten to. You're the president. But then, like a day before, Megyn Kelly pretty much said he could nuke someone and she'd probably still vote for him over Dems. And so I'm like, Megyn. Meet Megyn. Like, y'all should have a conversation. Why are you talking to me? You had Tucker Carlson, you had Megyn Kelly, you had Alex Jones. Alex Jones, if you talk about being online, that's a heavy hitter. Alex Jones comes out here and is like, I don't. I don't understand what the president's doing. It can't be understood what the president's doing. This doesn't make any sense at all. This is not what we voted for. Candace Owens as well. Candace Owens was coming out against him. Wow. These are the right-wing Avengers. So the right-wing Avengers that try to take down Thanos, and they... Who knows? They might win. I don't know which movie this is. Then Trump came out against them furious. Trump was mad because we think Trump can't read. But he reads. He does read. It's just not books. But Trump reads what people say about him. And he also hears what people say about him. And he's a very fragile person. He's a very sensitive guy. So then when you come out against him like that, and not even about him specifically, they didn't attack his voice, his looks. They didn't call him stupid. They didn't do any of the things that I do. They were attacking him purely on the merits of going to this war. And Trump, he got mad. This dude got so mad, I'm gonna read you what he said about him. Oh, he was furious. Okay, wait, this dude, oh man, okay. He posted not a tweet. His site's called Truth Social, and so I guess these are called truths. Okay. All right. So he said, I know why Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones have all been fighting me for years, which is not true. Especially by the fact that they think it's wonderful for Iran, the #1 state sponsor of terror, to have a nuclear weapon. This is also what's weird about that. You already attacked Iran, and you said you completely wiped out their ability to have a nuclear weapon. So then when you attack them again so they can't have a nuclear weapon, when were you lying? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a certain point, come on, man. Watch your old tape, you know? Because they have one thing in common, low IQs. They're stupid people. They know it. Their families know it. And everyone else knows it. 2. I read it like that because he put a comma after it, but then put 2 in all caps with the exclamation point. No, he didn't put it in all caps. I don't wanna lie on him. He didn't put it in all caps. He just put the exclamation point. That's my bad. Look at their past, comma. Look at their record. They don't have what it takes. And they never did. They've all been thrown off television, lost their shows, and aren't even invited on TV because nobody cares about them. They're nut jobs, troublemakers, and will say anything necessary for some free, in quotes, and cheap publicity, which is... And now they think they can get some clicks, in quotations, because they have third-rate podcasts. But nobody's talking about them. And their views are the opposite of MAGA. But you're talking about them. You're talking at third rate. Third rate is unfair. These are actually, sadly and terrifyingly, the most popular podcasts in the country. They are the opposite of MAGA, or I wouldn't have won the presidential election in a landslide, all caps. MAGA agrees with me and just gave CNN 100% approval rating of Trump, in all caps and quotations. He knows he's Trump, right? Like... Not hand-flailing fools like Tucker Carlson, who couldn't even finish college. He was a broken man when he got fired from Fox, and he's never been the same. Perhaps he should see a good psychiatrist. It is funny for Trump to be like, you need help. Like that's very good. Or Megyn Kelly, who nastily asked me the now famous only Rosie O'Donnell question. Or crazy, in quotes, Candace Owens. Do you not think she's crazy then? If you put it in quotes, you're not... All right. Who accuses the highly respected First Lady of France of being a man when she is not, and will hopefully win lots of money in the ongoing lawsuit. Actually, to me, the First Lady of France is a far more beautiful woman than Candace. In fact, it's not even close. I like how he had an idea. This is your post. You can post whatever you want. You clearly did. And I've just never seen someone so clearly think with their thumbs. Like, he like backtracks. In fact, yeah, actually, I was right a couple words ago. In fact, it's not even close. Or bankrupt Alex Jones, who says some of the dumbest things and lost his entire fortune, as he should have, for his horrendous attacks on the families of the Sandy Hook shooting victims, ridiculously claiming it was a hoax. These so-called pundits, in quotations, are losers in all caps, and they always will be, exclamation point. Now, fake news CNN, the failing New York Times, and all the other radical left news, in quotations, organizations are hailing, in quotations, them and giving them positive, in quotations. Does he not think this is happening? Normally, I really, like, in person-to-person, like, interactions, when people do the air quotes, I need it to be, like, legally binding. When people do air quotes, it's very important to me that the reason they're doing air quote is because they think the FBI is listening, or, like, you know what I mean? Like, they're like, I'd never want him to die. Like, that needs to be the reason you're doing something. Stop just doing this to do this, because I don't know what this is. People overdo it all the time. And if you watch me do it, you can't tell if I'm upset or not. Because doing this all the time doesn't make sense. No, it's crazy. It's truly jarring. Okay. No, we're halfway there. Don't worry. No, I'm clearly joking. And giving them positive press for the first time in their lives. They're not MAGA, all caps, but I think you use all caps for MAGA all the time. They're losers just trying to latch on to MAGA. As president, I could get them on my side anytime I want to. But No, I'm fine, dog. I could win her back anytime I want to. No, look, listen. I like being divorced. I like when I fill out forms and they're like single, married, divorced. I like hitting that divorce. Something special about being divorced. I could win her back anytime I want to. I don't care if she moved on. I don't care if she moved on and has a baby with you. I could get them on my side anytime I want to, but when they call, I don't return their calls because I'm too busy on world and country affairs. And after a few times, they go nasty. In quotations. I actually got to start using that in real life. I'm like, that's very funny to just walk around and be like, oh, he's nasty. And then when people are like, what are you doing? What is that? I'm like, oh, you know. Ooh, he is a freak, okay? A very dirty individual. No, okay. All right. Guys, we're a quarter of the way there. It's fine. All right. They go nasty, just like Marjorie Trader Brown. I don't know who he's talking about. There's Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has been very upset that the president called her a traitor after she supported him so much it did make her look crazy. It made her look completely out of her mind, and that's aside from everything else. She told him after that Easter post that he did that he should get on his knees and beg forgiveness because you don't post stuff like that on Easter of all days. And I guess he called her Marjorie Brown. I honestly don't know who he's thinking about. I feel like maybe this is the only guess that I have. This isn't even a good guess. I feel like he called her Marjorie Brown because everyone involved in this thing is like a name, and then he was mixing up Candace and Marjorie, and so he was about to maybe address Candace again, and then he was talking to Marjorie, but he thinks with his thumbs, and so he said Brown because Candace is. I don't know. All right. Maybe there's a Marjorie Brown we don't know who did betray him. No, like I don't know everyone in politics. Like I watch the news all the time and I try to learn who everyone is, but like I don't know everybody. Maybe there's a Marjorie Brown that's a traitor and she did him dirty, broke his heart. But I no longer care about that stuff. I only care about doing right for our country. MAGA is about winning, all caps, and strength, all caps, in not allowing Iran to have nuclear weapons, which he capitalized nuclear and weapons, and I'm not sure why. MAGA is about making America great again, which is in all caps, and these people have no idea how to do that. But I do, all caps, because, only word not capitalized in this entire sentence, the United States is now the hottest country anywhere in the world. I don't know what hottest means. President Donald J. Trump. And this seemed to be the thing that actually lost him a good amount of support online on that Truth Social, right? I'm not saying that everything is over, but it does feel like there's a crack, there's a schism. There is like a MAGA civil war happening with like the Avengers on one side. I know that mixes up movies, but you understand the general metaphor. Oh. And so then, my man doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what to do because all these people are turning on him. All these people are turning on him because of a war he started that some people think at least was in part to distract from the Epstein files. What does he do? What do you do now? You're losing the war that you started. And your people are turning on you. And you still haven't fixed the initial issue, which is like whatever it is that you're so scared of people finding out that's in the Epstein files. So what do? People always say Trump is playing 3D chess, and I'm scared he might not even understand Foursquare. This is like... Because what do you do now? What do you do? The war is going terrible. People asking about the Epstein files. There's something that's clearly about to come out about Melania, apparently. I don't know. I don't know what that is. Like, I'm just praying that his answer isn't to just start another war. Or else I'll just be sitting here like y'all, watching the news like Kash Patel. Charlotte, y'all been great. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all.
Put your hands together. Start clapping right now for the incomparable Josh Johnson!
I've had quite a week still trying to distill all of my thoughts and feelings around the presidential debate. Okay. I live in New York, and in New York there are a lot of parks, and in some of those parks you'll see, it's like an iconic thing about New York, that there'll be somebody playing chess in the park, right? And sometimes they're just two old men playing chess or checkers. Sometimes it's somebody that's like, hey, I'll play anybody, I'm practicing for a tournament. And a lot of times it's somebody who's playing chess, but they're playing for like money. Like, you put 5 down, I bet you can't beat me, and I'll put 5 down, and we'll see. And then, you know, speed chess as well. They got the clock next to them, bow, 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 right? And I've played before, and I'm not good at chess. And it's crazy how fast you can lose. Sometimes I'll be playing chess in the park, and he'll be like, checkmate, but it sounds like there's no way. Then I'll grab, I have a chess book. And I'll look at the board and look at the book. Like, damn, okay. That wasn't that many moves. I don't know what else I was supposed to do. You know? And I don't know, I feel like watching the election and watching the debate felt a lot like that. It felt like bad chess moves. We've watched a lot of debates that Trump has been in, and we've gone 2 for 2 this year with having remarkably historic debates, both of which were like, whew. You know what I mean? Like, you get done and you're like, whew. Felt like I was up there. And there was a moment in the first debate that was echoed in this debate. There was a moment back when Trump was debating Biden, and I've talked about it before, where there's a second there where Trump looked at Biden, and for a split second, he wasn't trying to be president. He wasn't even trying to debate. He was literally like, hey, he good? Like, no, y'all, stop. Is he good, though? It was a different tactic than we've ever seen before from Kamala debating Trump, because she debated him the way that I think a lot of us might debate him. You know? I'm not gonna speak for anybody in here, anybody listening to me. I don't know if you're like a political analyst. I don't know how involved you are with politics, but she debated him the way that I think we debate him sometimes in our heads, which is to be like, what did you just... Because most politicians are not... Hear me out. Most politicians don't behave like people. And when I say that, I want you to understand, I mean, maybe they care about people, maybe they care about getting something good done, maybe they care about forwarding their agenda, but they don't react to things, and they don't behave like people, like just regular people. It's why they feel fake, is because they can't just be like, oh, shit. You see, man? Do you see what I mean? And it's why people from 2015 on have gravitated towards Trump, because he feels like they would react. Like he will say, oh, shit. But then you look at someone like Kamala, and she's a very polished person, very accomplished person. But in that debate, she was having moments that for the first time ever felt like moments that we might have up there. Does that make sense? Like when Trump would debate other Republicans leading up to the nomination, or when Trump would debate Hillary or Biden, there was a sense of like, wait, are you not going to say anything about the thing that he just said just now? Why are you staring forward, acting like what you heard wasn't wrong? Why are you like looking to the moderators to fact check? There's nothing more exhausting than when someone who could be a good player is looking at the ref to be like, help. You know what I mean? You say he's lying right now. Like he just lied now, so say it now. Don't later be like, and then they didn't even help. Do you see what I mean? We've watched it happen. We've watched, he was in those debates. Republicans did not know what to do with this man. He was over there telling Ted Cruz to his face, your wife is ugly. And because Ted Cruz doesn't move like a person, doesn't react like a person, he didn't slap him in his face in that moment. No, Trump has shown that the American people were ready and willing for someone unorthodox. You know how much he would have surged in the polls if he had walked over from his podium and was like, what? And then slapped Trump in his face. I know at least his wife would have liked it. I don't even remember what he said about Marco Rubio. I just remember Marco Rubio looking littler and littler every day. Marco Rubio started showing up. I was like, is he 4'8"? Nobody knew what to do. Journalists didn't know what to do. Journalists were like, but you can't say that about the press. But he did it. What are you gonna do? And so now you watch this debate with Kamala, and we've all heard it and probably said it ourselves that she baited him a lot, but he bit every time. And this is my thing with that, is that decorum aside, don't you want someone representing you that could maybe let something slide? It's got to be tough to be in the public eye. It's got to be tough to be and feel slighted all the time by lots of people that you meet that you don't know and they hate you. But also, you're here to do a job. You're here to do a job on the highest level. So a lot of people won't like you. No matter who wins as president, there will be people who are very upset. Do you really want someone who could be so easily irked? Kamala said, nobody. Kamala said that people leave his rallies early out of boredom and maybe confusion. I don't remember the other thing she said, but she said people were leaving early. And this is what's so interesting about that. We can talk about how much it's warranted or how much of it he egged on or whatever, but there has not been in a very long time a political figure that is as hated as Trump by a lot of people. So a lot of people have said every type of thing about him. A lot of people have drawn him. Do you know how much you gotta hate somebody to draw them? A lot of people... Drawings take time. It's one thing to curse somebody out real quick. It's a totally different thing to... No, wait, I'm getting his ass. I'm gonna take a break, but when I get back, He about to get it, all right? So all manner of things have been said to and about him, about himself, about his family, about how he behaves, about how he actually feels, about Americans in America, all of it. But this thing hadn't been said. And it turns out that this was the thing to say. This was the thing. If you're talking about feelings, this was the thing. And that's it. Look, as someone raised by black women, don't. Black women know how to hurt feelings. Only a black woman would be like, no, go to his little rally and see. That's how confident she was in what she was saying, that she told us to go. She was like, look, I'm gonna do something I wouldn't normally do. Go ahead and go. You'll leave early, don't worry. That was the thing. That was the thing. And you could see it happen. You could see it, oh. On his face, you could see it happen. This dude who has held the highest office has been called a traitor. He's been called a Russian asset. He's been called all manner of things. But this was the thing. And it's because deep down at his core, even his supporters will admit that deep down at the base of who he is, Trump is an entertainer. And all I'm saying is, as a fellow entertainer, if someone had said, Josh, people leave your shows early. Out of boredom and confusion, I'd be like, oh, okay, we fighting, say less. This was the thing. That was the thing that like broke through this weird armor. Because I've noticed that Trump specifically has a thing that has always kind of existed in politics, but has never existed to this degree, right? Where Trump has a filter created by his base, by the people who like him, love him, and everything, that he can say whatever he wants, but they will distill it for him for the rest of us. He'll say whatever, and then they will be like, what he meant was... But what he meant shouldn't have been what he said. Because he said this, and you're saying he meant something else, but he also had access to the words you just said. So are you sure he meant what you're saying and not what he said? I'd like to think that when you say something as the commander-in-chief, you mean what you said when you said it. You didn't say something being like, they'll figure it out. And because he has that filter, because that sort of buffer exists between him and like sound arguments and logic. I don't even mean that as like a diss. I literally mean he could say something and then it could spin out past something that he meant for real, right? Because as an example, that's like Trump's vaccine. I know we forget that, and I've talked about it before, but that's like, as far as presidents go, as far as you getting credit for the things you do while you're president, that's Trump's vaccine. But when he tried to say, guys, we did it, we have a vaccine, and his audience booed he realized what it's like. Oh, I don't necessarily control what goes out, even though I said it. I said you should get vaccinated, and then they booed me. So clearly, it's not like a one-to-one. What I say is not, it won't be exactly what they do. So now I'm also trying to figure out how to like keep them on my side, but win them over, but lead them. I think in that moment you saw him get really worried and confused, and he immediately backtracked. He was like, or don't. And I said all of that to say that the screen, the buffer, the thing that he usually has, I'm not saying he lost it for good in this debate, but he did lose it a little bit. Because I grew up in Louisiana, and I know people who are like hardcore in the MAGA movement, like people who are like, no, Trump is the guy. He is gonna fix everything, right? I've grown up with these people, and we know each other well. And this was the first time that they were like, that wasn't great. Because even in debates against Hillary, they were like, no, okay, he said the thing, and I know it's a good soundbite for you liberals, but like, this is what he meant. And the thing that they're saying he meant, which is what they heard, which is what they decided to hear, is a reasonable thing when they start saying it from their mouth. So now I'm like, oh, okay, if that's what you think, that's what he said, then I can see why you're still like really gung-ho while I'm more put off by what he said, you know? But this was the first time that there was almost like a shared language. There was like a shared reality around like, what's happening to him right now? And he started to spiral, and he said, hey, look, they asked him a question. I can't remember if it was about immigration or the economy, but they asked him a question that should have been a layup for him. And he was still like, can I address the rallies for a second? Which, as a fellow entertainer, I understand. If someone had said that to me, I would have also been like, hey, listen, let me explain, all right? It was a Friday late show. They were tired, okay? You can't put that on me. And he said, can I address the rallies real quick? Because people don't go to her rallies, all right? They don't go to her rallies at all. The people that go to her rallies, she gotta bust them in, and then they don't even have fun while they're there. She doesn't have any snacks. Now I'm paraphrasing, but like. But he did. He hit back with like rallies. They asked him underhanded. Should have knocked it out of the park, and he got distracted by rallies and crowd size and things that make sense as a priority if you're an entertainer. But if you're about to be the leader of the free world, they shouldn't matter as much, you know? And you could see him kind of spiraling after that, because he was a little frustrated by like this thing that broke through. Then that never happens. Trump is a very hard person to debate because people like him are very hard to debate because they're not trying to have a debate with you. They're trying to make you look dumb. And because Trump is like very good at making other people look dumb, he's very good at debating. You see what I mean? But this was the first time that he was like, what is she talking about? My crowd. And so, you know, he had a bit of a spiral, and before you know it, he was like, look, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the dogs, they're eating cats, and you could tell in that moment that Trump wanted to say another animal, but he couldn't think of one. Because he says pets, but pets is off rhythm. If you go back and watch, it's like they're eating the dogs, they're eating cats, they're eating... And you can see for a split second the wheels turn of, he's like trying to think of, they're eating the bird. No, we all eat birds. They're eating the pets. You know? And then, you know, Kamala does a thing, and it's a thing that we've done when we've been watching debates, when we've been watching rallies, when we've been watching them on the news. She does a thing that we've done before, that a lot of other politicians have not done on stage with Trump. She laughed at him. And I think there's context to that laugh, because I'm not trying to get too, like, I don't know, like too much of a deep dive into it, but like there's context with that laugh, because she's not laughing at him, she's laughing at what he said. And that's really different. It's one thing to say Trump is a joke and Trump is a joke, and you could make the argument that the reason Trump became president was because Obama made him a joke. Do you remember that? Do you remember that? Obama made fun of this man and he just sat there quiet, you know? And then years later, he was like, peaceful transition of power, huh? There's a big difference between laughing at Trump and laughing at what he said. You can think that Trump is a joke all you want, but he laughed his way to the presidency. But then when you laugh at what he says, when you take the power out of what he's saying, that's a very different thing. You know, she laughed at what he said for a second. And then there was a second, it was very slight, but there was a second where she was still smiling, but she wasn't laughing. And then there was a second where she wasn't smiling and she wasn't laughing, and it was reminiscent of like, yo. Yo. No, wait, yo. You know? And that's my thing, is I'm like, I look at that, I'm like, wow, that's different, you know? It was very, very different. And the thing I've noticed in both these debates is that they're not even about who did well. They're just about who did the least poorly. That's what we get stuck on. Like, it wasn't even, last debate wasn't even about Trump performing well, it was about Biden crashing out. And then this debate wasn't as much about Kamala winning as much as Trump. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cat. They're eating flamingos. They're eating the pets. No. And it was the first time in all the times that he's debated that Trump looked 78. Because he's 78. And he's got a lot of energy, so we let a lot of those years slide. We don't feel like he's 78. You know what I mean? Like I've known grandpas like Trump. I've known grandpas that were like, oh, he's got so much energy and he's so spry. And he's eating a lot of fast food. But he's 78. You know what I mean? But I guess this is one of my main things about it, is that like, it was the first time I saw him look out of his element on like a really important moment, you know? And I don't want people to think that this is like, that's it. That's all that needed. Not at all. It's harrowing how little it actually moves the needle. Almost everyone feels the way they felt before, even after we saw what we saw. And we agree that it didn't go well for one person. But we're still like, nah, I'm still gonna go the way I was gonna go. That's interesting, you know, that after all of this, they're like tied. Wow, they're tied. In lots of places, they're tied. It's not even like it's working out to be a tie because all this place and all this. No, in a lot of places, they watch that and they were like, I don't know. That's pretty wild, you know? The first time he really looked 78, because it was the first time he said something that, like, a grandpa would say right before you put him in a home. You know what I mean? Because be honest. If you let a lot of stuff slide as like a child or grandchild, and then grandpa been living by himself. But if one day out of nowhere, and you haven't seen where he saw this on the internet, he just walks up and he's like, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cat. You're like, okay, that's the last straw. I let you put the remote in the mailbox several times. But this is the one that I can't abide. This is, because it really has consequence. And I think that we live well enough here, even though I'm not even pretending things are just phenomenal. I'm just saying, day to day, by and large, we do get by. And I think that when you get by, especially comfortably, it can feel like a game. You know, it can feel like something that doesn't matter as much. You know, and it can feel like something that you're just playing at. And I think that, you know, it's important to remember that all the things that these people say, these are very powerful people already, and one of them is going to become even more powerful. Everything that they say, everything they do has ripple effects. You know, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. It's like a meme. It's like a thing that's starting up. But it's also, which is very, very important, because we did a thing back in 2014, and we've done it ever since, that I don't know how to fix it. I'm just saying what happened from 2014 on. Anyone online that was even all the way from like crazy people down to people who were slightly conservative, right? From 2014 on, were just called Nazis outright, right? Anything, and even a question, oh, you Nazi, right? To the point where Nazi started to not mean anything. And when it doesn't mean anything, it's hard to make it mean something when like an actual Nazi shows up, right? And I want to be clear here. The thing that Trump said, it is a lie started by a neo-Nazi. I don't care how many people on Twitter try to find something to make it make sense after the fact. It's a thing that a guy said at a community meeting where he was specifically targeting the Haitian community, and he said that we will not be safe the more Haitians we let into it. That's also the other part of the soundbite. Outside of the dogs and cats, this dude was specifically saying, and he gets kicked out of the community meeting. That part also didn't make it into the viral clip, right? And so when people are saying, well, I saw, and they have these fourth-hand accounts of like my brother's, sister's, uncle's girlfriend has a cat that's missing. And they try to put stuff together. There's even a video going around of some people cooking a cat that's from a year ago and not in Springfield. And then that became like evidence. There's another picture of a guy that was walking with two geese that they said he was on his way to go cook, when actually it was found out that this dude was pulling these geese away from a car accident where they got hit, and that he's probably not Haitian. But even so, death threats, bomb threats, all of this horrible, horrific stuff has been happening to the Haitian community to the point where apparently, maybe this isn't true, but apparently even the person in the Facebook group that first posted about, oh, my niece's cat is missing, and thinking, she has even come out and been like, I never meant for it to turn into this. That was just a Facebook post. Maybe she was having a goof with a friend. She didn't think it would come out of the mouth of the former president in a debate where he was flailing. So all these things have real consequences. It's not a game, and we are not chess pieces, you know? And even after the debate, you know, it almost like hijacked the whole narrative of Trump losing the debate and Kamala winning it. Now it became about this weird thing with hate. And it's also already, in that little bit of time since the debate, switched into Africans, because now they were just like, oh, wait, we got it wrong. It's not Haitians, it's Africans that are eating the dogs and cats. And so now it's already shifted just to try to find some truth out of a thing that was a lie, right? And you have J.D. Vance afterwards who, you know, pretty much probably fed that to Trump. And he's sitting there talking to Collins in an interview, talking about, okay, whether we find out that this is somewhat true or only a little bit true, was not willing to call it a lie, right? He says that, you know, we don't have evidence. This is me paraphrasing just for the sake of brevity, but basically we don't have evidence that there's no evidence. And the thing that is like so brain broken about that logic is that it creates a tidal wave of insanity until you can finally make something that you want to be true, right? Because it could ruin anybody's life. For instance, when you look at J.D. Vance, there is no evidence that there's no evidence that he didn't bang a couch. Do you see? Like, do you see how that's an unending thing? How it could ruin your life and never go away? How you can't even sit anymore? Because people see you next to a love seat and wonder? Do you see how insane that is? A lie that we know is a lie? But we'll work our way to figure out how we can make it true, you know? So just please, I mean, look, we watched the debate, and it was everything from a little bit boring at times to thrilling. We shouldn't even be debating like this anymore, to be honest with you. We've ruined the debate. The debate is too much like a chess game now, where it's like 90 seconds, make your move, make your move. That's not how you solve problems. When you go back before debates were televised, the people that showed up were willing to be there for hours. And the candidates had a long time to lay out their position. So there actually wasn't as much of a chance to fully dodge questions, because they were like, what are you going to do about immigration? And you have until you figure it out. But when it's 90 seconds, you can be like, what are you going to do about immigration? Well, I believe is time up yet? No. They used to take forever, because that's as long as it takes to figure out a problem. And it's as long as it takes to figure out what someone's real piece on something is, you know? If you could figure out big problems in 90 seconds, we probably wouldn't have any, you know? So just watching this thing of like, it feels crazy. It makes me feel crazy, because I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna work. They're not gonna make us feel like they have a plan in 90 seconds, you know? And there's too much of an opportunity to get derailed, you know? There was one point where it felt like maybe the only time in the debate where Kamala seemed a little angry. There was only one point, and I don't even remember exactly what led up to it, but she basically was talking about how Trump, which I forgot this happened, because when you live in like a 24-hour, 36-hour news cycle, everything is just sort of going, and there's no time to latch on to anything that matters, and there's no time for like real nuance of an issue. You're just going and going and going. But he did invite the Taliban to Camp David. And I remember when that happened being like, aren't they not supposed to be? The Taliban. Okay. And I remember that moment distinctly, because out of nowhere, Kamala turned to Trump and said, this. And you can tell she's trying to find a word that won't get bleeped. And I know it because she had to reset. She actually closed her eyes for a second. This... Once again, as someone who was raised by black women, anytime my mama looked at me and went, "You," in her mind, she killed me. You know, in her mind, my life flashed before her eyes. She had to come back. This former president. All right, that one will work. You know, she pointed out something that we all saw. We just didn't seem to remember, or maybe it wasn't that big of a deal at the time, you know. It's important to remember that we're not like just playing teams. It feels very much like teams, which I think is why so many people are like dug in, and no matter what happens, they're like, I'm not switching teams. But this is not a game, and we're not chess pieces. You know, it's very important. You register to vote. It's very important that you go vote and everything, because it's not going to be won by memes. You know, you can't like internet your way to fixing everything. You know, because I don't know. I don't know how everyone in this room feels or anyone watching feels. I just know that like I just want to feel comfortable with who is representing me out in the world and in front of the country. I want someone who is willing to maybe move a little bit like I would move. Maybe play chess the way I play chess. And I'm not even good at chess. You know, I just, you know, we all, everyone, no matter where you fall on party lines or anything, everybody wants somebody with a plan. And they asked them. They asked him, it's you want to repeal and replace Obamacare, and you say that you have a plan. We're asking right now, what is your plan and how would you enact it? And he didn't answer the first time. But when they asked again, they were like, after 9 years, what is your plan to repeal and replace Obamacare? Because I need to be clear here that like, if something is a good idea, a really good idea, I don't care what party it comes from. If something is a smart idea, because I am not playing teams, because I don't feel like this is a game. This feels very real. The things that get said in a presidential debate that are funny, that are a joke for a little while, lead to death threats and bomb threats in real life. All of this is real. So if somebody has a plan and it's a good plan, not only will I hear it out, I might even help them try to make it happen, because it helps a lot of people and it gets us somewhere, right? And so they asked him, after 9 years trying to repeal and replace Obamacare, what is your plan? And he was like, look, I have concepts of a plan. I'm starting to feel like if he had repealed and replaced Obamacare back when he was president, not only would we not have health care, but I'm pretty sure our doctors would shoot us.
When I